Our next case is a murder that took place some 3 months ago. It seems to have been a premeditated ambush, but the killers left several amateurish clues, and at first detectives hoped to solve the murder quickly. As the weeks have passed, though, the evidence they need has been surprisingly elusive. Even the motive isn't clear. Tonight, the inquiry team need your help to piece the clues together. The victim was Peter Rasini, who lived in Palmer's Green, North London, and whose business was in Paddington, not far from Marble Arch. In this reconstruction, his daughter, Lola, takes us through what happened in the last few days that led up to his death. This is Church Street Market, just off the Edgware Road, where several shops specialise in antiques and second-hand artefacts. And one store, Alfie's, is subdivided into dozens of indoor stalls. Peter Rasini had traded here for several years.
My dad was very caring, the sort of person that you could tell your problems to, except he wouldn't tell anyone his. Everyone liked him, and the minute he'd walk in, everyone rushed up to see if he had any new stock to buy. And he mainly sold to the same people that worked there. And then he'd have a few regular people that would come in each week to see if he had anything new. He sold a bit of jewellery, silver, old antiques, anything he could get his hands on.
Yeah, Chinese. Yeah.
He loved it.
This is Oak Tree Road in Palmer's Green, North London, 200 yards from Peter Rasini's home. A neighbour noticed two men sitting in what he remembers as a white van at the corner of Green Lanes. And the next night, another neighbour saw another van, though this time its passenger got out and walked towards Green Lanes. The van drove off, at first, without its lights on.
Peter was a dealer who I've known for 20 years. I think, in fact, Peter really preferred buying than selling, and found it much easier. I last saw him on Sunday, the day he was murdered. I arrived here at 7:15, and the atmosphere was very relaxed. They just had a meal and a drink or two and appeared to be enjoying themselves. Very strong, is it?
You should have helped me, shouldn't you?
Right, I better not say any more. That's the only decent thing. That's like a clock.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it seems to be okay. Right. Then I'd like £10 for.
Fine.
A plated sauce boat, 15. And that I want £100 for. It's Edwardian, but it appears to be going okay. So I think that's all right. Are you happy?
Yeah. Fine. Great.
Now, usual problem. What shall I do with the things?
That doesn't matter.
Peter, I don't want to put them back in here. Peter, when are you going to tidy this place up?
You should have brought him a duster as well as that cup of tea.
Peter,
Come on, get to it with a will, kid.
Peter, it's not fair because now you've got Lola here. You must do something about it. Yes.
Well, you can set to with it if you want to.
You're doing Kempton, aren't you, on Tuesday?
Yes. Yes, I've got the car packed. Well, a bit more packed than normal.
Yes, but is that safe?
Well, it's all right round here.
What do we do with him, honestly?
Did you lock him?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Nothing's going to happen.
He, in fact, had appeared to me of late to have been not quite as relaxed and may have had something on his mind. But he was a very private person when it came to these sort of things, and in fact would give one no indication of what it was. But I do feel there was something troubling him at the back of his mind.
Later that Sunday evening, at around 7:30, Peter left his house to see a friend in Kentish Town, not far away. His niece and Lola stayed at home to watch TV. A blue van was again in Oak Tree Road. When did it arrive? When Peter returned just after 9 o'clock, he parked in his usual place just around the corner from his house. A man was running off down River Avenue. He was about 6 feet tall, heavily built, dressed in a bomber jacket and hard-heeled shoes. What happened? Did he open the door to someone?
48 River Avenue, Palmer Street, now!
As the gunman turned into Oak Tree Road, several witnesses saw him heading for the van. He was about 40 to 50 years old, panting, and obviously unused to running. The van set off without its lights on till it turned right and sped away along green lanes.
On the Sunday that my dad died, he was happy, had no worries on his mind. And we had dinner, and we was just talking and relaxing at home. If you have someone that you love so much, and to see them happy 1 minute and then to see them dead, it's the worst thing in the world.
Peter Rasini would be 45 today. Today's his birthday. What do you think the motive was?
That's the answer, question my detectives and I have been trying to answer for the last 2.5 months. We've been looking into the areas of his private life, into his business life, and more recently we've been looking very deeply into his addiction to cocaine. We've been looking at people that might have been supplying him cocaine. Also, we've become aware that he was sometimes not too diligent in checking on the background of property that he bought. In other words, we suspect he bought stolen property.
Now, if someone who knew him and had handled stolen property, or someone who knew him and had been themselves involved with drugs, with cocaine, they might be pretty reluctant to get on the phone and call Crimewatch.
Well, for legal reasons, I can't promise an amnesty, but what I can say is that I'm interested in who killed Peter Rasini, not these other matters.
And we can read between the lines. Now, this is a replica of the murder weapon, 45 caliber. I mean, it has a kick like a mule, very, very heavy weapon indeed, as a handgun. Almost unheard of. It's a gun for use in crime in this country.
Yes, I understand there's only been a couple of instances of such a gun being used in this manner in the last few decades.
Now, how could any Crimewatch viewer help about a weapon like this?
I'd like to know if anyone was stolen from a viewer who owned it legitimately under a firearms certificate, or if anyone in the underworld has become aware of such a gun having been sold just about the time of Peter's death, or indeed disposed of afterwards.
Now, what about the gunman? I described him as between 40 and 50, and he was obviously pretty unfit, running that couple of hundred yards. What else do we know about him?
Well, he was white, he was aged, as you say, 40 to 50, heavy build, wearing dark clothing, and what may have been a balaclava, certainly a woolly hat, could have been a balaclava rolled up.
Curiously, he was wearing shoes that made an awful lot of racket and drew a lot of attention to him as he was running away. It's an odd thing to do. Those vans, the white van on the Friday night, or what seemed like a white van, and the two blue vans thereafter, could be unconnected, perhaps?
Well, the white van on the Friday night, if it was unconnected, what I would like to hear from are the people that were using that van. If they could come forward, we can eliminate them from the inquiry.
This is Friday the 22nd of March.
That's right.
Anybody was in a white van in that area.
About 10:30.
And the Saturday night was clearly, or almost certainly, the same van that was there on the Sunday.
I think that's a very good probability that it was. But again, if it wasn't, we'd like to hear from the people using that van, so once again we can eliminate them from the inquiry.
Do you know what sort of van it was?
We think it was a Bedford Midi. That's the very best guess that our witnesses can give us, but if it wasn't actually a Midi, it's very, very similar.
OK. Well, let me tell you, there is a reward of £5,000 that's been posted by Peter Rasini's father. If you think that you can help in any way, do please call us. Here's the number, 081 811 8181. Or you can call the incident room. That number direct is 081 807 9332. 081, there it is, 807 9332.